Welcome to another Wall Street Informer production on WSI TV.
Welcome back into another episode of WSI TV. I'm Sean Bauer, Chief Editor of Wall Street Informer on wallstreetinformer.com. Now today I want to talk about a man who's at the forefront of nearly every news story you see these days, Donald Trump. Now I got a really interesting topic to cover about Mr. Trump, so let's get right to it. Does Donald Trump want the stock market to collapse? Okay, you're going to have to let me explain, because this isn't just a YouTube video to have out there to get clicks or anything like that. There's a legitimate scenario where Mr. Trump could actually want stocks to dip in order for him to get into the White House. Go ahead and take a look at a couple of quotes Mr. Trump just had recently. In a recent interview, when asked if he had money in the stock market, Trump said, quote, "I did, but I got out," end quote. And he's been encouraging other Americans to follow his lead and take their money out of the stock market. So he cited a bubble within the stock market and an impending collapse because of it. But is that just a collapse that he wants? Or is it really something there that he's warning Americans about? Now, Trump's also been quoted as saying, the only reason the stock market is where it is because you get free money. Now here, Trump is clearly talking about the Federal Reserve and Chairwoman Janet Yellen, who he's been highly critical of, and probably rightfully so, as her quantitative easing policies have largely been called a failure by most highly acclaimed economists. But is Trump just taking shots at the Democrats in general here, or is he really warning Americans, as I said? Let's look at how stocks can actually be the great predictor of the next election, and why Trump may actually just want that collapse. Now, what you're looking at here are actually some results of data analysis dating back to 1944 on the relationship between the performance of stocks and the presidential election. Now, stick with me for a moment here as I explain a little bit. So there's a critical period. This year is from August 1st to October 31st, but it's always generally that time range. And this critical period is the time in which the stock market's performance actually can decide the next president. Okay, let me explain a little bit more just to give you some figures to wrap your head around this. So when stocks rise during the critical period, the party in power retains the White House 82% of the time. That makes sense, right? So if people see the stocks and their money in general doing well leading up in the 3 or 4 months leading up to the election, they're going to want to stick with the same party in power, right? And on the flip side, when stocks dip during the critical period, the party in power is replaced 86% of the time. Again, it's just another logical scenario. So if you see your stocks and your investments tanking in the 3 months leading up to the election, you're probably more inclined to vote for the other guy. And the crazy thing about those numbers is that they'd probably be even higher if it weren't for some weird one-off situations, such as a third-party candidate doing very well, to throw off these results a little bit. But as you can see anyway, over 80% accuracy in determining the next president just based on the performance of stocks, I mean, that's plenty of reason for Trump to want to collapse in the stock market, because it all but makes it a certainty that he's the next one to take office in the Oval Office. Now, there's no telling if Trump is using this data alone to say, hey, there's a collapse coming, when he doesn't know one way or another, or if he really does see the warning signs and he's trying to legitimately warn Americans. But either way, if stocks dip over the next 3 months, there's an 86% chance that Trump is the next president of these United States of America. Now, thanks for joining me for another episode of WSI TV. As always, you can go to wallstreetinformer.com to become a member for free anytime you'd like and receive your free gifts for doing so. Once again, thanks for joining me, and I'll speak to you next time.
Thanks for watching another Wall Street Informer production on WSI TV. Be sure to visit wallstreetinformer.com, where you can become a member for free and gain instant access to the secrets of market millionaires via the Wall Street Informer Vault. So go ahead and claim this gift for free now at wallstreetinformer.com.